Congratulations on your 4,000th
Thank you.
robotic surgery.
The very first patient, had that trust and that faith to put her life in my hand, to do something that had never been done in the city before.
Every day, you give your absolute best.
That's right.
So where do you get this energy? Where do you get this drive? Where do you get this passion for what you do?
We'll save, anywhere from 10 to 100,000 lives a year.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be with you today.
Cool.
It's quite an honor to be in the presence of somebody who is just so talented.
Well, I appreciate it.
With in the operating room, right? Congratulations on your 4,000th
Thank you.
robotic surgery, one
Crazy.
of which I was a part of.
You were in that number.
And I was in that number. And so that takes a lot of time and dedication and talent to describe what you do. So why do you do it?
When it started, I wasn't thinking milestones, right? The very first robotic surgery I ever did, I was like, just knew in my heart that this technology was the future. I knew it, I believed it, and the very first patient, had that trust and that faith to put her life in my hand, to do something that had never been done in the city before.
Okay.
And every surgery after that, it's just been about earning the next patient's trust and the next patient's trust. And I do it because I knew that it was a tool that would allow me to perfect my craft, to be the best that I could possibly be at doing surgery, at doing gynecologic surgery. I knew that my training was in laparoscopic surgery, and I just saw that through technology, you could take your skill level and amplify it 10, 20 times what it is.
So it's 4,000, and I'm one of those, but we're more than just numbers.
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Well, again, I never started out even imagining that, I would get one of the top, I think, 5 in the world for robotic gynecologic surgery. And it's an honor. I think every single one of those patients that I've treated is a part of my journey. I could not do what I do. I couldn't offer what I offer except for the support of the community for this technology, the support of administration, and really the support of the patients. Every patient is a teacher. Every time I get a difficult case, I could be, exhausted and depressed, but I honestly, I go and I talk to the family and I say, you know what? Your mother made me a better surgeon today. I went up against insurmountable challenge, and we found a way through. We fought our way through, and I gave everything I had today, and usually that's enough.
Every day, you give your absolute best.
That's right.
So where do you get this energy? Where do you get this drive? Where do you get this passion for what you do?
I have this, really a blessed privilege to be able to go into clinic, but really into the OR every day and have a patient trust me to put their life in my hands, so that they can take whatever malady they're suffering from, whether it's super painful periods or prolapse, or they can't leave the house because they're embarrassed about their toileting habits, whether they're leaking or whether they're having trouble with their bowel. And in one surgical episode, maybe 30 minutes, maybe 3 hours, I can completely change their quality of life, and they can wake up on the other side smiling and seeing the patient and their 2-week post-op, and knowing that I did my little part to have an impact on their life. That's what drives me, and I want to be the best at that. And every little reminder along the way, every little thing, every smile, every little note, every home-baked cookie.
Right.
Each of these things is made and given with love, and I just can't imagine doing something more gratifying with my life.
So it's been a long while to build up to the 4,000 surgeries, robotic surgeries.
That's right.
When you go to bed at night, how do you, what do you think about before you just fall asleep?
You know, sometimes this will sound crazy. You know, I'll run the surgery in my head for the next day. I'll think, try to navigate my way through, especially if I know it's going to be a difficult or a challenging case. And I'll run scenarios, things that can make it better, easier, safer, more effective, more efficient. You know, I once performed and published the first robotic single-site hysterectomy in the world. And what that means is, you know, we just do the surgery through one incision with the robot rather than multiple incisions. And that inspiration came to me in a dream. I sat up in the middle of the night, sat straight up, and I said, I finally put it together. I finally figured out how I'm going to do this after, you know, months of consideration. And again, I had a patient trust me with her life. I was like, look, this is going to be better. There's going to be fewer incisions. It's never been done before.
Wow.
And, you know, we had an appropriate comprehensive counseling session, consenting session, and we did it. And, you know, we had amazing results, and we made history in El Paso.
And you changed lives. So tell me about a new tool that you will soon be getting. A new.
I'm getting excited.
It's not a tool. I like it. I like to call it a tool,
Yes.
not a toy.
Oh,
because
I
you
love to
take
call
this
it a toy.
seriously. No, okay. Well, let's call it a toy.
Right.
So this new toy
Yes.
that you're about to get. Tell me about that.
We're gonna-
That's exciting.
Unleash on the city. Well, so there are always improvements in technology. You know, nobody's running around with an iPhone 5, right? So every iteration of the technology, we learn from the failures, shortcomings, what have you, feedback from patients, from physicians, surgeons, how to make the technology better, how to interact with the patient better, but even how to interact with the surgeon better. And so this newest version, the 5th generation of surgical robotics, called the Da Vinci 5 or DV5, kind of cool. We're one of the first 3 hospitals in the entire Tenet Providence organization, in the entire country, to get this technology. And we've had a lot of firsts in El Paso with robotic surgery. We were also the first in the world to use a ureteral fluorescence dye. So the first human ever in the world that has the technology that, when it is finally FDA approved, hopefully next year, will save, you know, anywhere from 10 to 100,000 lives a year. And the very first time it was ever done was here in El Paso. So we're not the first, but we're one of the very, very early launch for this new robotic technology that, you know, in terms of, you know, computing, some people think of it that way, 10,000 times the computing power of the immediate predecessor of the last generation. For me, having, you know, suffered the aches and pains of 4,000 robotic surgeries, there is a physician ergonomic benefit that's built into this technology. So robotics is far superior for ergonomics compared to laparoscopy, or kind of standing by the patient bedside, in as much as we get to sit and operate from a console. But one of the challenges was the unadjustable position. So the physician had leaned forward, and that's kind of resulted for us long timers of some shoulder and neck pains. And so this robot is lighter, like more lightweight. It's got all of the unnecessary, I guess, components stripped out of it, and it moves to any position that you feel like you want to stand in. So if you have good posture and you want to sit straight up, not only will it allow you to do that, but it'll force you to do that, because the console that you peer into, there's, you know, a few millimeters one way or the other until you can't see the image. So once that position is set, you can readjust it, but it's set for the duration of the surgical episode.
So you've heard the saying, much to those who is given, much is expected, something like that, right?
Something like that.
That's a big responsibility. You're given a new tool to do the job even better. How does that make you feel, to have this bigger responsibility?
With great power comes great responsibility.
Right.
No, Uncle Ben was right. So this newer technology has, for the first time in surgical robotics, something called haptic feedback, which kind of just sounds cool, I guess. But basically, what it is if you were to have surgery performed and the surgeon was going to do an open incision and put their hands inside your abdomen. Pelvis to do the surgery, they obviously can feel with their fingers what is going on there. With laparoscopic surgery, they can't do that, but they can appreciate if they push up against something and it stops moving, they get that haptic feedback propagated through the instrument. With robotics, we never had that. With robotics, we just see on the screen, but we just have to develop over time as a surgeon the ability to appreciate through the way that your eyes see the tissue respond, how much force is being applied to the tissue. And I think 10 years from now, we're going to look back and say, how did we ever do surgery without this technology?
Dumb it down for me.
People might think of something like Oculus, right? You put these goggles on and you get this immersive environment, but you can't really feel anything, right? You can't actually have feedback for what you're pushing up against. Now, there are technologies where, in somewhat of a revolutionary development, there's now they've engineered haptic feedback, so you can actually move your instrument and it'll push back against you as you're moving. So you have actually an objectively quantifiable to give you a measurement number, how many newtons of force you're actually putting on different tissues. There are games that you wear a vest and it pushes back on you. So it's something like that, right? So you are interacting with the game, like with the surgical episode, and you're actually getting a touch feedback. So it's not purely your sense of vision. You're now getting a second sensory system involved in what's going on. And truly, I think, and Intuitive believes that this will become the standard of care where surgeons that adopt the technology and use less tissue or use less tension on the tissue rather they're going to have better outcomes. And surgeons that don't do that, and there's more tissue tension and patients have a harder, longer time recovering as a result of that, maybe won't be selected to do surgeries or will have some effect on their reimbursement.
Let's fast forward 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Where is Dr. Rich going to be?
Retired. No, on a beach in the Caribbean somewhere. So
On your own island?
For sure, there's going to be more me time involved in that time frame. I don't know. I don't know if I ever want to hang up the scalpel. It is truly gratifying for the reasons that we talked about. But I do think I have more to give the world. I've just got back from Atlanta and they brought the entire sales team in for the company, the entire GYN and neurology sales team. And we did a day-long lecture and I role played with them and, how do we help our surgeons to understand this technology and value for their patients. At the end of the conclusion of the session, standing ovation, and it just, I felt like, this is another area that I feel I can give and have a greater reach. Like in the OR, it's one surgeon affecting one patient's life, and we mentioned some of the innovations that have come out, including the ureteral fluorescence dye that will prevent ureter injuries. So there's an innovation that I had the fortunate part to be the principal investigator, and so I had a big part in its development. That's something that now many people will be able to use and have an improvement for their patients. I do a lot of teaching as well for other surgeons. I've gone to 100 different hospitals, and over the last 18 years probably taught at least 100, maybe 200 courses. And so that I can try to share what I've learned with other surgeons.
So you've touched a lot of lives, including those 4,000 surgeries and with the teaching. How do you want to be remembered?
Oh, what's the legacy? Well, I think, really at the end of the day, someone who was gifted, I use my God-given talents to be able to help that individual patient with their individual medical condition. But they don't necessarily bake me cookies for that. A lot of that gratitude comes from the what we call bedside manner, just from how that care is delivered, right? They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? I want to be remembered, right? As someone who truly cared for their patients. They could feel that compassion and that caring, and at the same time was able to deliver top quality, healthcare.